Hi. Okay, we're kicking off the project work, so I wanted to just make a short, I promise it'll be under 10 minutes, little peek into what I want you to be doing this week and where I think all the groups stand so we can stay in coordination, okay? May 2nd, I want you to keep that date in mind because we're going to have the face-to-face group is going to meet in the main auditorium atrium of Park House, and we bring everybody. We have the president, the IT staff, the vice president of IT, the engineering folks come over. Jason brings the gaming people over. We're going to try and get people over from the 111B class over in the other campus. So it would be great if you could be there. It's not a requirement, you're an online student, but if there's any way you can plan ahead and come and show your project on May 2nd, 6 o'clock in the between 6 and 7 we'll be there in the atrium of Park House. We would love that. So May 2nd should be the date that everything is geared towards in your project. You want to have running code on May 2nd. The final exam date is more like the 8th or the 9th. I'll double check. By then you have to submit the final version of everything. Code, documentation, a video, I'll put all the requirements up. But you get 1 week to finish things off. But May 2nd is the last class, and that's the day you have to have running code. Okay? So right now these are the groups as I see them. Brandon and Joe doing drone pollination, Richard and Ian doing a tech sector crawler, Monica and Crystal doing a linguistics app that's going to work with ESL students or grammar students, and Vicky, Joe, and Jason doing some kind of Twitter analysis. I need a little more detail on this group because I wasn't quite sure that you had a clear plan on where you were heading. It wasn't clear to me. So I need you to get very precise very quickly. And that's, pretty much true for everybody. These are big projects. All of them fit the time scale well. You may not get everything you have in mind done right this pass, but you'll be making very significant progress. And I think you have a good shot with the number of people in each team to get almost all of what you have in mind done for the May 2nd deadline. Okay, so that's where we are with that. I wanted to go over a couple of pieces of things that we want to coordinate on. So the first is your team should have all of the communication issues. This is horrible penmanship, I know, I should probably just type. But all of your communication issues locked down. That means that you have a role assigned for the project manager. Okay, I know who that is. You know who that is. You know what product they're using. Are they using Trello? Are they using something else? If you're using Trello, make sure you put me into the group. Okay, using the kmartinphd@gmail email address because that's the one I have set up for all these accounts. You should have a GitHub account for everybody. Okay, if you're also using Dropbox or Google Mail, Google Drive, if you're using OneDrive, have all of those accounts set up, have everybody synced. Let me back off on the volume here a bit. Have everybody synced together. The project manager is responsible for delivering a Gantt chart like listing, okay? And you can get Gantt chart tools online that show in detail what responsibilities each person has, what dates those projects are due in. And this is more like every 2 or 3 days something should be measured, okay, so that you know you're making progress. If you wait a week to hear back from somebody on a 4-week project, you're running a great risk of failing. So you need to keep tighter management than that. So whoever the project manager is responsible for looking and poking and prodding and alerting me if there are issues. Remember, every week you're handing in a teammate evaluation. Every person on the team is handing this into Blackboard. You've got a full paragraph on each person on the team, plus you've got that little numeric metric matrix that you're filling out on each person, including yourself. Okay? So you need to have roles assigned. You need to know who the project manager is, and they're responsible for having contact information on everyone. That means you've got to have their home phone. You've got to have their cell phone. You've got to have their email. You've got to have every possible way to reach them, because if something happens down the line and they go missing, you're on the hook for this, and you need to be able to reach out and find out what went wrong. Okay, you probably also want to identify a lead programmer. You probably also want to identify a person responsible for testing, and you probably also want to testing and documentation. You probably also want to have somebody responsible for, we'll call it marketing, meaning that you have to have a focus group. You have to look to the people who are going to be using the product you're building and talk to them. It can be over email, it can be a lunch with someone, it can be pulling some people together in a room. But I want you to have some kind of contact with who you're designing for, and I want to see that documented as you move forward, okay? Let's move beyond that. Okay, so let's flip colors here so we don't get a little variation. So we had number 1, the idea of communication. Number 2, the next thing you want to be focused on this week is as quickly as possible delivering me a prototype. So it doesn't have to be working. In some fields we call this wireframing. Just sketching out for me what the final app is going to look like. Meaning it may be a mobile app, it may not be. It may be a web app, it may not be. It may be a Java GUI. We're going to talk about those details as you promote your project to me. But at some level, the software looks like something, and I want you to start thinking about that right now. I want you to draw picture boxes and say, look, there's going to be a list here, there's going to be an image here, we're going to be getting feedback from Google on certain metrics, and we're going to create that turn that into a bar chart that's going to run up the side here and reflect that value. Sketch it all out, think it all through, and have that delivered to me as soon as possible this week, okay? So the communication pieces, primary, has to happen right away. Prototyping, very next step, okay? Then you've got to look at the clock, I got 6.5 minutes down. Then you've got to look to making sure that everybody knows their responsibilities in terms of researching existing software that's working and doing something like what you have. We call this like an environmental scan, okay? If there's nothing out there that does anything like what you're talking about, it's probably a bad project idea. Okay, there should be software out there that does similar things. You want to get a copy of it, run it, try and understand it, see how it works. Okay, that's your starting point. You want to be able to have a demo of existing software for next week. Okay, if it means that you're using the Leap Motion, and so here we've got students in the face-to-face class that are using this gesture detection tool, Leap Motion, and so they're going to have Leap Motion's app running next week. If you're using the Cloud Vision service from Google, which I recommend you go to their webpage and just read about this. It's fantastic fun. We were doing it in class last night. So if you're using the Cloud Vision service, I want to see a small demo where you just connect to the service, send it one photograph, and get back the JSON information. Maybe you don't know how to parse the JSON information yet. That's okay. But you want to connect and get it back. So the 3 things for this week, you should already have all your communication down. Sign somebody a prototype ASAP. Think that through and put in some design time, and then make sure that the responsibilities for everyone are clear. Someone's doing an environmental scan, someone's working on turning this into a demo, and you're doing a really deep dive investigation into what external APIs you're going to be using, because they're going to be really important to the project. You're going to be able to get an awful lot done in a short, reasonable amount of time because you're standing on the shoulders of giants, we say, right? You're standing on the work other people have done. So maybe you can go right to the API and start working. Maybe you go to GitHub and find somebody's resources. Maybe you go to DevPost and look and see what somebody has already done like this in a hackathon somewhere and start with their code and get a look around, okay? But for next Wednesday, I'd like to see all of these pieces come together. Evidence to me that the communication and the tools that you're using are all in place. A prototype that you can present, and very clear schedule that the project manager is going to deliver with responsibilities, each person's name and the dates, meaning 2-3 dates a week, 2-3 tasks a week they're responsible for. So you are on top of what's happening and things moving forward. The environmental scan and the APIs that you're using. Okay? So you don't have to be bothered posting into the boards 5 times a week. Okay, I know you're doing a lot of work outside to make this happen. I'd like to see you post your project updates into the board, okay, so we can all read them together, not just me seeing them in the homework. That will really help everybody know what's going on with the entire group. So you can email me. It's still possible to reach me in the forums, post in the forums. And I hope you have a lot of fun with this, okay? Let me know if you need hardware. Hardware requests need to come in quickly so we can get you the material on time. And there's my 10 minutes. I promised I wouldn't hold you long. All right, we'll talk online. Take care. Have a great lot of fun with this project. Looking forward to seeing the results.